Hey guys, today I have something very special for you. So Season 5 for Deep Rock Galactic is right around the corner, and I wanted to talk more about it. So I got together with a friend and fellow DRG content creator, Rework, to talk about all the new stuff coming and how we feel about it. It was a lot of fun, and we ended up talking for like an hour, and we both had some pretty interesting things to say about everything that was coming. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. And be sure to check out Ron's channel because he has some really good and insightful stuff, especially if you're a big Fallout fan. I'll have a link to his channel in the description. Also, as of this video's release, the channel has hit 15,000 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for your continued support. It really does mean a lot that so many people want to watch some schmuck like me. Now on with the video. Today we are here and we are going to be talking about everything that is coming with Season 5 of DRG. It is a pretty exciting time. As of was it the 25th that they did their On the Horizon stream? I think that's what it was, right? 25th.
I believe so. That seems about right.
They announced literally everything that is going to be coming in Season 5, and a lot of people are very excited about it. And so many things were announced, so many things were confirmed, and
Yeah.
we should just dive into it and talk about everything that they had mentioned and whether or not we think it's good for the game, bad for the game, if we think this is going to be great. Although I don't know about you, but I think this is probably looking to be the best season that we have had to date.
Yeah.
But things look pretty insane right now. So let's just go through it bit by bit.
Yeah, sure.
So at the beginning, I think actually a good place to start would be the roadmap that they talked about, because one thing that a lot of people have been talking about, which I do kind of agree is important to an extent, is the fact that there has been a lot of big gaps in between seasons, which I think is something that people, we kind of expected at this point. But most of the time in games like this that have seasonal based content, they usually come every couple of months. But here it's like once a year, which I can understand. I don't know if you understand, but like
I do, seeing how big the team is there.
Yeah, that's true. You have insider knowledge because you actually got to go meet them. You lucky.
Yes, that is true. Yeah,
you have a lot of insider information too that I don't have, which I think is going to be very nice because we get two different perspectives about this. I also feel like we kind of can't talk about this without talking about their decision to, now that Season 5 is pretty much completed, they're now shifting their full attention to Rogue Core, which I think is a perfectly understandable and believable position for them to be at, since Rogue Core is going to be the next big thing that they come out with, which
absolutely.
And I'm very much looking forward. You got to play it a little bit, which I'm very jealous about. And I got to play it
for 2 days.
I'm really excited to see what comes out. And I think that the choice for them to, I think, what was the phrase that they used in the post? A wise philosopher once said, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. And I think that is incredibly appropriate. And I think that it makes a lot of sense.
I would say so too.
So I think that it does kind of suck that we're going to be getting at least a decent bit of a content drought for a little while. Somewhat.
Yeah, more than likely.
I think it's going to be rectified with some of the stuff that's coming in Season 5, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Big features that's going to be giving a lot of people a lot of content to work towards, which we'll get to. But
Yeah.
But overall, I think I can see where people are coming from with being upset that there's going to be these big gaps in between each season. But I think that, again, the team is not that big. We're not talking about a AAA game studio here. We're talking about a smaller studio that I think that overall this is going to be a very wise decision for them to make. We're not going to like it in the short term, but I think in the long term, we're going to look back at this and be like, wow, that was worth the wait.
Yeah, I think that's something important to keep in mind, because it's also different from our perspective too of making content as opposed to people just wanting to like play the game or wanting something new, because they both kind of go hand in hand to some extent. But if you're just hopping into this every once in a while and playing it, then you might have content for the entirety of the season as it goes on, if you're playing it super casually, like once a week or something, as opposed to if you're doing content on it, you're probably playing it a whole lot more often so that you can make more stuff.
Yeah, I think that's definitely very important. And also their plate is full. I know that like they're not making a lot of games, they're publishing a lot of games, but that's still a decent amount of work. I don't know the inner workings or the inner details about that. You might know a little bit more since you were there and you got to see that, but I'm assuming even just publishing something is a lot of work.
Yeah, that is. I know that's taken up by mostly Soren, like the CEO. He was mostly in charge of kind of getting those things put together and meetings and just sort of getting things sorted out as like a CEO does. And then like the rest of the team was more oriented towards whatever they were trying to do at the time. Like Mike and Mikkel were definitely trying to get things on board for either season 5 or for Rogue Core, depending on which day we were there and kind of what they were planning. Because they did at least do the demo to Rogue Core that we got to play, but then they had to pretty much move the team to finish up season 5. So Rogue Core was put on pause essentially after the demo that we got to play, and then everybody moved to that. And then they'll move back to Rogue Core. So.
And I'm assuming once Rogue Core is done, we'll probably get more season 6 progress, whatever that's going to be.
Probably, yeah. And I have no idea about season 6.
Oh, I don't even think they probably know.
Oh, yeah, no. Mike's official answer was, So, like...
that sounds just like him.
I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I mean, I'm sure they want it to happen, but it's just a case of what it's going to be.
Oh, yeah. They said, like, they want to focus on, like, whatever they can do and put as much content into that season, and then just, like, cut away what they realize won't work in the time frame, or, like, you know, what the theme is going to be, like, if it doesn't really fit with the theme, and then just kind of go with that. So I think that's a smarter idea, and then worry about the next season when it's actually like time to do another season. Now,
I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Then on that note, we might as well finally get into this season, because there is a lot of meat. There's a lot of meat to get into with this season. We got a lot of content, at least in my opinion, probably. Most content? Yeah, it's definitely probably gotten in a season. If you just put all things together. And a lot of stuff, I don't know if you were able to see everything, but a lot of the stuff that they announced, I had no idea that they were going to be adding in, especially some of the more later stuff that we'll talk about. But
yeah, some of the stuff they didn't tell us at all about. It's like that was a surprise to me. Like some of I think the later stuff we'll talk about, where it's like I was honestly surprised that was shown, because I was like, we talked about that briefly when we were there, but it didn't sound like that was gonna make it in.
I feel like I know exactly what you're talking about, but
yeah.
Well, so I feel like we'll start with the theme, because to everyone's love, we are finally done with Rockfox. We are finally over and done with it, which I think everybody is happy. I mean, okay, to be fair though, I never was really a big hater of Rockfox, or I don't know about you, but
I didn't mind it.
I thought it was annoying in the beginning, and like now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, another meteor happens, but overall in terms of like just a concept itself, I thought it was fine. But I
think the concept's really cool. It was usually just like where things could spawn was the issue.
When they made it to where everything just releases Rockbox when it dies, I think that was kind of a bit of that was kind of a turning point for a lot of people, because I believe because I didn't play too much at the very beginning of season 3, but I believe if you killed things with melee damage, they wouldn't release any Rockbox. So the driller was basically just like a god at that particular point in time, from what I've heard.
I kind of remember that, and like you could still, I think that was when you could still, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I was thinking that you could still drill through Rockbox and be fine, but then that got changed to where it would build up.
Yeah, I think
unless I'm okay,
could, but I don't think it was. Maybe it wasn't as fast. Then they accelerated it, because I do remember like driller was like top tier at that particular point in time, because when you could just drill through things and they would just die. Yeah, and they made it to that way. Okay, whenever a Rockbox enemy dies, big cloud of Rockbox, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest problem I had with at least the start of season 3, which I think got better, was just you could have like Rockbox spawn basically in the ceiling.
Yeah,
and it's like it just takes so time.
Like if you didn't have an engineer scout combo, you were just doomed.
Yeah. Sometimes that would happen, and it's like if I'm playing like solo gunner or something, and I get that, it's like suddenly the match has got 3 times longer.
Yep.
Because I have to like get my way up there to actually. It seems like that got changed quite a bit in the future, where that doesn't seem to happen as much.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of like very tight corridors that the lithophage spikes spawn into now. I don't know about you, but I've noticed that a lot more instead of like the open ground. But that might just be me. But the important thing to note is that we are done with Rockbox now, and the theme, well, not done, but it's taken a back seat obviously now. It's still still gonna be there. You're still gonna probably get the lithophage that shows up every now and then. Harold's still gonna be wandering around every now and then. So you're still gonna have to deal with him every so often, but it's just not going to be nearly as prominent, which I think nobody is upset about.
Probably not. I think it's kind of the same thing with previous seasons too, where it's like, it's kind of cool now to see like a data vault. It's just they don't pop up that much anymore. It's like, oh, this is kind of cool. Yeah, like season 1 and 2, where it's like, oh, okay, there's another one. We got to do another one this stage. There's another one the next stage.
I get happy every time I see a prospector drone, because I'm just like,
yeah,
it's like finding like some sort of like African elephant in the wild. You're like, I don't see you anymore.
Yeah, they're so rare.
So like now they might not be, but we'll get to that later. But
that is also true.
Overall, I think that this is a nice tone shift. The name of the season is Drilling Deeper. I guess we probably should have mentioned that at the very top of this whole thing, but the whole theme.
Fine. We'll put in a thing.
Yeah, everything will be. We'll probably put some B-roll behind us so you guys can see everything. But
yeah.
We'll have stuff up so you guys can see what we're talking about. And the whole theme is basically a prelude or a beginning of like Rogue Core. Not necessarily like related, but I guess related in the sense that like you're drilling deeper into Hoxus, which is really cool. And that gets into the mission type, which we'll get to in a moment. But overall, I think that the tone shift from Rockpox to this is very welcome, and I think it's gonna hit big with a lot of people.
I think so too, especially having seen some of this stuff ahead of time, that it's like, I think people are really going to enjoy it, because I feel like this is going to be a much more like action focused season. Not saying like the previous ones weren't, but I feel like this is going to be like, you just keep going, you know?
It's action in a different way. And I think a lot of that is culminated in the new mission type that we have, which is the deep scan mission type, which this is the first time that we've gotten a new mission type all the way since season 1. All the way since season 1, this is the very first mission type we've gotten since, which is kind of crazy. And you got to play it firsthand, but even when
I actually didn't get to play this mission.
Oh, you didn't? Really?
No, I didn't play this mission. This wasn't complete. I got to see some of the concept art to it, but I didn't get to actually play it.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so you were just kind of as like shocked as the rest of us.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting. But overall, but in general, I mean, I see this mission type and I think it looks really, really interesting. So do you want to walk us through like the main process of this particular mission real quick?
Yeah. So we have a hot cold feature where we're going to be scanning for our underground nodes that we need to hook up. We'll need to call in something and attach them. This isn't going to be a defend the area thing though. They did mention that. So this isn't going to be like a taxi. So that should be pretty cool. Then we're going to get the drill elevator called down, and then we actually get a drop down with the drill elevator. On the way down, then we're also going to be getting attacked, and the drill elevator is going to be getting stopped, or at least slowed down by the sounds of it, where we have to fix that up. I'm curious as to which enemies they're going to have coming down the hole with this.
I'm pretty sure they confirmed that bulks can't spawn. I'm pretty sure they've said that. I don't quote me on that, but I'm like 90% certain they said bulks can't spawn.
I know they said they're going to have a no-go list of different things that's going to be there. So I'm wondering how many different things, or if they're just going to have like a low spawn chance. Because I see like bulks being an issue, septic spreaders, rollers potentially, and like stingtails. I can just imagine getting yoinked and instantly killed.
You just fall to the top of the hole, and then you just fall down, and you're like, well.
Yeah, it's going to be like a rubber banding leech. I don't think leeches, because I imagine the drill elevator would probably kill him as it gets spawned in.
Probably.
I would think.
But then we ride the drill elevator, and then what?
And then we break down into the very deep part of Hoxie's, where we get to do the rest of the mission that we're going to be doing.
One which is collecting these Morkite seeds, which is how they describe it, which I didn't even think Morkite was like an organic material, but I guess it is, which is kind of
sure.
And we collect these Morkite seeds, deposit them into Molly, and then we get special jet boots to escape.
Yep, that's the way that we're going to be escaping. Although Molly just walks up the walls.
I feel like it would make more sense if we deposit it in the drill. You know what I mean? Like a point extraction type thing. And then that just kind of goes away. But I mean, I guess they just wanted us to have Molly there, which I'm okay with, obviously.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. Like, I don't see a problem with that. Since we're just going straight up to, probably not going to be a problem in terms of time. We're probably not going to be getting anything like that. But yeah, the new area looks absolutely awesome that we're seeing in the deeper part of Hoxie's.
Yeah, it's like some sort of like obsidian looking like cocoon or something. It's kind of crazy. So
we're getting a new event too.
Yes, well, we'll get to that. But for right now, when they were describing this new mission type, I was getting like egg hunt mixed with like escort duty type vibes. Like sort of like a
Yeah.
combination of both of those, sort of.
Yeah, I kind of was too. Like that seems to be sort of what it is. It's a vertical drill dozer type mission.
Yeah.
With then we've got like the eggs that we gotta more or less get from this. It's like, yeah, I can see that, but I think it's gonna be a bit different than both those mission types. I think it's gonna feel completely different.
Oh yeah. It's definitely gonna have. It definitely has a little bit more of a sense of urgency to it. I want to say, just because,
Yeah.
like you said, it's not hacking. We're not gonna be hacking. I'm guessing it's just a case of we just plug the machines into the crystal things, and then we just get the information. It might take like a little bit of time, but not a whole lot. And then we ride the drill elevator down straight out of the descent and
Yeah.
fight enemies all the way down, which is going to be really interesting. I'm wondering how big the platform's going to be. If it's going to be like kind of like I'm thinking if it's going to be might be something similar to like the point extraction sort of platform where it's like roomy but not super crazy, or if it's going to be like really claustrophobic.
I feel like it's probably gonna be the point extract size. I feel like just by looking at the pictures, it seems to be about that size. Might feel a little bit different in game though.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that this mission type looks really fun. I think this is going to be, I don't know if it's going to be my new mission type, but it's definitely going to be one that I know I'm going to enjoy playing a lot.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna enjoy it quite a bit. I think. Well, I mean, I really like the drill dozer type missions, and this one will probably be better because we don't have to constantly fix this thing like we do with Dottie, to where she can just die.
I think it'll.
At least I'm assuming we don't.
I think it's going to get damaged at some point, but I think it's going to be one of those things where it's kind of like the on-site repairs, where like you have to repair it, but it doesn't take too long and it's not really too intrusive. I imagine it's just going to like. In my head, I think the drill elevator is going to get hit and it might like slow down or maybe even stop, and then you have to like fix those like buzzsaw things that are on the side of it.
Yeah,
like it rides down. That's what I assume it's going to be.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. I don't think it's going to be like permanently broken or we're going to lose parts of it or anything like that. So at least get to do that. I'm wondering how difficult it is going to be to potentially res people on the platform too. Like it probably won't be an issue if you're gunner, but I'm just wondering about the others.
Yeah, especially since like the way gravity works on that thing, because I know they said that like you can't set up engineer sentry on it, I don't think, just because of the way that like it's gonna like I don't think you can put a shield down, I don't think either, because it just you put it down and then the drill elevator just keeps going. So the way that like the physics work, it's kind of like a nightmare to code. So yeah, it's gonna be really interesting how things like that work. I'm kind of wondering. This mission makes me wish that the spring rippers that the driller has, it kind of makes me wish that they went like horizontal. That way you could just like throw it on the side and just sort of spin around. Because I do that on escort duty missions all the time. I'll just throw it. I'll throw it down the tunnel and it'll just become a meat grinder.
Yeah, they're pretty good on those missions.
Oh yeah, they're terrible everywhere else, but they're right
there. And unless you're like really good at getting them to stick to the pipes and they go around, but I've never been able to do that consistently.
Oh yeah, I'm not good at that either.
Like that looks really cool, but I screw it up every time.
Yeah, exactly. I think overall, though, we are both very, very excited for this new mission type. Especially, I just want to see. I want to go like down to the bottom and see like the like cave formations that are there because they look so unique. And I'm wondering how big that area is going to be. So overall, I'm very much excited to see what that's going to be like.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. If it's going to be the same size as the mission types that we got in Rogue Core, or if it's going to be similar to more of like the maps that we get in DRG. Like, Sandblast can be like giant. Or certain other areas can be absolutely giant. Like, I'm wondering if we get variations from them or they're all roughly, the same size.
And if they look like different depending on the biome, because it might, if we're in like, Hollow Bow, or we could be seeing like new root formations or something. I don't know if it's going to be that deep, but it would be really interesting to see.
I'm not entirely sure myself. That sounds pretty awesome, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be similar to one another. Yeah,
it's probably going to be like, the escort duty final rooms where it's like they all look the same. It's just what the texture is, And then, like you said earlier, we have a new seasonal event, the Core Stone, although the devs literally told us absolutely nothing about it other than that it exists. I know you know what's going on, and I know you probably aren't at liberty to disclose, but... No, I can't say. It will be really cool. The only thing they told us is that there's this Core Stone, it's in a big purple crystal, and you collect it, and that's it. That's all they told us. I can make a theory as to what I think is going to happen, but... Because I think... I mean, go for it. I can't say anything, but... Oh, yeah. I'm just assuming that, like, either this stone is sentient and it doesn't like being picked up, or this stone is going to trigger something to become very angry. Those are the only two things that I can possibly think of. But like, yeah, they literally told us nothing about it. They were just like, it's a new stone. This is what you collect for the seasonal event. And that's it. And they literally went to the next stone.
Yeah, I understand that, because it's like, yeah, I know what it is, and it's going to be pretty awesome, because that was actually one of the very first things we got to see when we were there.
Ooh.
They're like, oh, come over here, check out this. We've got this new thing that we want to show you. And it's like, oh, that looks awesome. But yeah,
that makes
I can't really say what it is.
That makes me hopeful.
I guess I can say, or at least kind of allude to it, say like it's going to be something completely different than what we, well, maybe not completely different, but pretty different from what we have seen. I'm just thinking there's a lot of stuff in Hoxie's that's like really different from other games, and this doesn't seem too crazy compared to those, but that's extremely vague. But
that's very vague, but that's all you can it's all you can disclose, and I appreciate you keeping your loyalty.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yes, it was funny. They had no NDNAs. They were just like, hey, just don't say anything. And it's like, okay, cool.
So then you have a lot of experience with this next topic, which is something that is a little bit fishy with a lot of people because of what happened this last season, but we're getting 3 new enemy types being added into the game. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of what those enemies are?
Yeah, we got the new Glyphid Stalker, which that's personally the one I'm looking the most forward to, because it looks awesome. Decloaked. We don't have any pictures of that right now, but they will be decloaked if you hit it or if you ping it. And then we have also the Barrage Infector. That is a new version of the Spitballer, or a new family of the Spitballer. This one fires out like a shotgun, and these spit out multiple little balls that will then explode. I'm not sure how big the explosion radius is on these, but that one should be pretty interesting. And then we also got the Vartok, I think I'm saying that one right, Scale Bramble. This is the guy that will be attached to the ceiling or walls, and you have to shoot the various nodes that he's got there for him to open up for you to hurt him. Reminds me of the guys from Dead Space.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what were those things called? Like the can't remember what they're called.
Oh, I don't remember what they're called in Dead Space.
Somebody will leave a comment telling us what they are, but
yeah.
So this is like kind of a mixed bag, because I love the idea of obviously new enemies, and I think that these look really, really cool. But it's a lot of people are understandably a little bit hesitant with the, with the stingtail, with the questionable release of the stingtail and the septic spreader last season. Now I think that both of them are in a perfectly good position. Yeah. They're not too oppressive, they're not too crazy, but it's kind of hard to ignore that they were very, very oppressive on release. So much to the point where people didn't think they were super fun. I've even heard people say that they stopped playing because they just didn't like the way that the new enemies were, which is a bit of a disappointment, because we're fortunately in a position where we can kind of handle those tougher enemies. But for newer players, like the stingtail was very, very impressive, because it didn't have a cooldown on its grab. It was pretty much as tanky as like a Praetorian almost. And it was just its tail was like a hit scan, so you almost couldn't dodge it. Again, now it's a lot better, but
yeah. And I mean, there was ways around it, because we kind of figured out stuff right away, where it's like, okay, you can drill the tail, you can smack the tail with an impact axe if you're playing driller, you can kind of bait the tail, especially if you're around a corner or something. It's there was that, but yeah, it's it was, I imagine, very frustrating for new players just to get yoinked away and just keep getting stabbed by something that's that tanky and you can't get away from it.
I think the good thing about it is that at least with the way that they describe and showcase these enemies, which again, we haven't gotten any actual footage, it's just all screenshots, so it's kind of hard to say exactly how they're going to function. But it seems that they all have some sort of a way to where they're not going to be too overly oppressive. The only one I can maybe think of is maybe the Stalker, because I know that I know that they said it has an ability to disrupt your shields and stop them from recovering, which is cool. I like that. But I just don't want it to be like a second stingtail situation where it's you basically just never have your shields. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not entirely sure, because I didn't get to see any animations either. I'm just as I got to see what they look like when it was firsthand, but I didn't get to actually see how they work in game.
Because the Scale Bramble, I think the Scale Bramble and the Barrage Infector both have the benefit of being stationary. So at very worst case scenario, you can at least hide from them. There's going to be angles where you're not going to be able to get hit by them, which gives you a chance to sort of collect yourself. Kind of the same thing with the Spitballer. I am curious, like you said, of how well the explosives are going to be with Barrage Infector, because it fires like a shotgun of mindlets almost, and then they explode afterwards. And are those explosions going to be like acid damage? Like, how are they going to function? It's just, and how common are these things going to be too?
Yeah, I would bet that these ones are probably going to be just as common as spitballers. So probably you won't see them too often on most missions. Since usually you get, maybe 3 to 5 spitballers on like a really like infested mission, at least if you're playing on
and they're all in one room,
normal difficulties. Yeah,
they're all in one room looking at you.
Yeah, that might be worse. Like, especially I can see these being an issue if you do modded and spawn more of them in, like more stationaries, because like it's already real difficult to dodge the spitballers if there's multiple, so it's going to be potentially even worse if they have a shotgun.
Use mods responsibly, kids.
I'm also wondering if they'll explode immediately, like if you can block them with drills like you can the regular spitballer shots, or if they'll explode when you do that, and that's just a really bad idea.
Yeah, is it time-based proximity? Like, they haven't really quite given us a whole lot to really think about with that.
Yeah,
don't think they specified this, but did they say if the projectiles could stick onto the players? I don't think they said that. Well, I mean, they didn't say it, but they also did not say it, because I'm just curious. It's like, if you just get hit by these things, are you just done?
Yeah.
That's going to be hilarious, but...
I don't think they would, but maybe.
You never know. Yeah. The scale bramble, I do think, is a very unique design. I don't know.
Yeah.
You said you got to see it firsthand, like not do anything, but you at least got to see it, like the model. Can you attest to like how large it is? Because that was one thing I was kind of curious about, as to like if it was like Abe Leech sized or like Tyrant Weed sized.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, because I just seen it by itself, and it didn't even have like the background that it has in these screenshots.
Oh,
it was just like the framework. So, or I guess like the model that you could see, and there wasn't anything around to compare it to scale. So like, I don't know how big this is going to be. I do think that something like the Stalker is going to be a bit bigger than the regular Glyphids though.
Yeah, you can kind of see it in scale with some of the players in a few of the screenshots that they have. You can kind of sort of see it. Even obviously you can't see it, but you can see like its basic profile definition. And yeah, I would say it looks to me like maybe on the same size as like maybe the Warden, almost like kind of like a similar size to that, where it's like it's like bigger than the Grunt, but not quite as big as a Praetorian almost.
Yeah, it's not going to be like giant, but it does look bigger than the other, like the Slasher and the Guard and stuff. It looks a little bit bulkier than them,
which is going to be really interesting to see. And I'm curious if the scale bramble itself is going to like, obviously it's going to shoot projectiles because it's stationary, but like I'm wondering if it's just going to be a damaging projectile, if it's going to be like acid, neurotoxin, or like what they're going to do with it,
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, because it does say that it has like acidic anchors. I'm also wondering if you break those and you're standing too close, would you get slowed down or take damage? Like if you ran up and pickaxed them? I don't think that's been talked about either, but then again, I don't know where the like nodes are going to spawn either. They might spawn quite a ways away.
That raises a good question. Like, what if you don't take out the nodes, but you like drill underneath of them? Like, will they just...
I wonder.
Will they just fall off and just die? Or like, would you not...
It might be like the turrets then, yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting. That'd be again, another driller exploit.
Yeah. Driller gets another tag.
Dude, Driller's gonna just shoot up in value. Then again, all the classes I think are gonna shoot up in value, because there's a lot more range, so the gunner is gonna pump up in value, at least in my opinion, with his shield. Depending on the position of the pustules for the scale bramble, the scout's probably gonna go up in value because he can just zip to them, and the engineer is just gonna go up in value. Just at base of being the engineer, he just goes up in value pretty much every season almost.
That is true, yeah. Inji's always like a very well-rounded one, so
that's why he's the best.
The only time I was disappointed in Inji is when they didn't give him any like changes in one of the patches. I don't remember what it was. I think Inji got like one change, and like everybody else got a bunch of overclock changes.
Oh yeah, I think they like adjusted like one of his cleans, and that was it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's
something like that.
I could be wrong.
Like, okay, like I'm not gonna be playing Inji as much as everybody else then, because I want to try out all the new stuff, and Inji got like one normal change.
I mean, to be fair though, he and everybody else are getting some new toys with the new overclocks we're getting though.
That is true.
We
are getting those.
That is, we're not getting new weapons, sadly. I know everybody likes to see new weapons. I want to see more weapons as well. I would love to see Driller with a Tesla cannon, but that's a different story.
Me too.
But new overclocks, I think, are a pretty good constellation prize, if not just as good. Especially with the ones that we got to see, because they did showcase 4 of the 12 that we are going to be getting. I guess technically you could say 13, because they did say they're heavily reworking one of them, but they just haven't said which one. But
yeah, I think it was implied that one was also going to be an Inji one. I'm not entirely sure about that, but
well, in any event, the they showcased 4 of them. The 4 that they showcased are all unstable. I'm assuming they're all unstable, or at the very least balanced that we're getting. But I wouldn't be
More than
surprised if they were all unstable. But we got the pump action for the engineer, which is basically going to, as they describe, convert the weapon into a 6-gauge pump action capable of dealing massive damage and punching through multiple enemies. I believe it's adding a lot more damage, giving it blow through, and reducing its, I believe, magazine size and extra ammo. We'll have it up so you guys can see everything. But I'm very much excited for this because I love the Warthog so much, and I hate the fact that it does so little damage. I hate it so much because it's one of my comfort weapons, but I'm like, I feel like I'm slapping the bugs with a wet paper towel when I use this thing.
Yeah, I like the Warthog too. I was just disappointed the Warthog only had 5 overclocks. So it's pretty cool that it's getting 6.
Yeah,
like all the other ones have at least 6.
I remember when I did my video for that, I'm like, wow, this thing only has 5. What the it only has 1 balanced, I think. I'm very interested in this particular one. Also, more than anything, I want to know if it's actually going to pump. I think that's the question on everybody.
They have confirmed that.
It is going to pump? Oh, I'm very happy with that then.
It's going to pump every shot. So that should be pretty cool.
That's going to be really nice to see. And then we got the mortar rounds for the Thunderhead, which this one, they just kind of went crazy with this one. Basically, the Thunderhead is now going to basically be an artillery cannon. You can lob explosive shells that are going to arc and deal like insane high explosive rounds that do like very high damage. Kind of sucks that the armor breaking on these things it still doesn't work quite as well as it's supposed to be, even though they did change it a little bit. Because you're still not going to get the full benefit of it. But I think that gunners are going to love this one.
Yeah, this one's going to be super fun. Even if it turns out to not be that great, I'm probably going to use it a lot just because it's going to be silly. And I want to try out like how it works with different builds. If building all AoE would be a good idea, or if building like all rate of fire would be a good idea.
I still imagine this is going to be insanely fun for those. Like I have a good buddy of mine who mains gunner, and I think he's going to absolutely adore this.
Yeah, unless they add cooler stuff for the Hurricane into the minigun. Like this is probably going to be a really fun one to use.
That's true. Yeah, we could get some. I have no idea what they're going to do with the other ones. Do you want to take us through the other 2 real quick? The one for the driller and the scout?
Sure. Yeah, we've got Firewall for the Crisper Flamethrower. This one makes it so you can now dump your entire fuel tank and just light everything on fire around you. You are slowed down when you're in the process of dumping this. You don't seem to be slowed down all that much because this is actually one of the 2 overclocks I seen when I was there. So that one, it didn't seem too bad, but I don't know how that's going to be when you're getting swarmed as to how bad that's actually going to feel. I'm really looking forward to that one. What are your thoughts on it?
A lot of people have been saying it's basically just the flamethrower's equivalent of Snowball for the cryo cannon, or like
kind of.
It basically turns it into like a flame version of the breach cutter, like the engineer's breach cutter kind of, because it fires out in like a line basically. I'm very interested to see this because the flamethrower is my personal favorite driller primary, and I think this is just going to make it a lot more like chaotic in a good way. I think that it's going to give a lot more AoE to it, and it just, again, looks incredibly fun.
Yeah, don't let drilling in the name of here that your flamethrower is your favorite.
Why, does he not like it?
He likes to bash on it. He thinks it's fine, but it's just the most basic of the weapons. He might like it now with this one.
Hey, oh yeah, I guarantee he'll probably start using it a lot more. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and then we also have the Marked for Death for the M1000 Classic. So this will nerf your overall focus shot damage to basically nothing. I'm not sure exactly how much that is since we don't have exact numbers for it, but it will make it so whenever you hit an enemy, this marks it so that it will take extra damage from all sources, similar to the IFG. And this should stack with the IFG, so you can stack even more damage on enemies for the whole team. This will be more of like a support weapon, I believe. But the M1000 should still be able to do the same amount of damage with its regular shots. So you're still going to be able to like one-shot headshot guards on, or grunts on any difficulty, so that'll be nice. I'm wondering how much more damage we're going to get with this.
Yeah, that's this one's really interesting to me because like you said, it's kind of like a support overclock, which we don't really have too many of those.
Yeah, not really.
There's not too many that sort of benefit the whole team that kind of just focus on the weapon itself, and that's why I really, really like this. And I can see a lot of potential in this one, personally.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 that we've seen revealed to us, I think this one probably has the most potential because like you said, you can stack this, you can stack the IFG. If you happen to freeze whatever you're fighting, if you got a gunner who's using a mole on his foil gun, thank you, it was escaping me. Like you can get you can get some serious chunk damage with this thing if you apply it correctly.
Yeah, because I was thinking like you can already one-shot the twins, at least the regular twin, if you have Blister, Necrosis, and Ice Spear. So it's like you might be able to do that with more things if you stack even more stuff on there.
I've still yet to do. I've been trying to pull that off, and it's
it's super difficult.
Yeah, it's really difficult to pull off, but one day I will do it. But yeah, this is just basically giving like utility to the scout, which I think is really, really good, because I believe this also, it does physically mark the enemy, like it highlights them to the enemy so everybody can see them, which is great, and it kind of leans into the scout's information and utility and that kind of stuff, which I think is really, really good. Overall, this one and the pump action are probably the two that I'm most looking forward to. Then again, we haven't seen the rest of them. So
yeah, that is true. I've seen one other than these ones,
but you're not at liberty to disclose, so that's fine.
But I can't say it. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I understand.
It did look really cool, though.
Overall, I think everybody's I agree with people that it does kind of suck that we don't get new weapons as often, but at the same time, you also want those weapons to be unique, interesting, and have their own sort of feel. And if they rush out weapons too quickly, it kind of doesn't feel that way.
We don't want like 3 of the same gun, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want just a strict upgrade to the lead storm or the shotgun or whatever the case may be. Like
or we have like 6 different GK2s and they're all basically the same. And he's like, oh, okay.
This one is burst fire, which, yeah, but I think that this is a good happy medium. Like, we're not getting new weapons, but based on some of these overclocks, these are going to function pretty much like completely new weapons. So I think that that's a very good.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, the way DRG does their like weapons and overclocks, they do feel like completely new weapons compared to a lot of games like upgrade system. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to this. I love the overclocks. So,
and the best way that you can use their weapons is to also make them look however you want, which leads us into the next topic, which is the new performance pass. Not really. I mean, the performance pass is relatively staying the same. Like it's the same thing that we've seen before, which is not a problem. Again, completely free.
No.
Again, it's completely free, which is phenomenal for a game in this generation. And we're getting a lot of cool new stuff. Some new things have been shown, some new mustaches, and arguably, at least in my opinion, probably the best weapon frameworks we've ever got.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion. These ones look really cool. We'll have them on screen so you guys can see.
The Neo Techia.
Yeah, they look insanely good. They look like Iron Man weapons, at least with the basic skin. I can only imagine what these are going to look like with other skins on them.
Yeah, I want to put a couple on there.
I just think that they blew the stuff out of the water with these. Like it's just they all look phenomenal. And then everything else on the season pass again looks really, really good. I know for the weapon maintenance, we're actually getting 3 new skins from the weapon maintenance instead of just 1, which is
we are.
I was not expecting that. I was like, okay, we're gonna get another one, and then they said not 2, but 3. I'm like,
that wasn't revealed to me either. Like I seen the Neo Techia stuff, and it did change a little bit from when I seen it. I think I can say something where it used to have more like stickers and stuff thrown on it, which I think would actually be kind of cool to be put into DRG.
Oh, I can. I think I can kind of see. I think they were going for like a neon sort of what's sort of like cyberpunk-esque type thing.
Yeah,
is what they're going for. These with the color scheme and the way that I don't know if you're familiar with Warhammer 40K a whole lot.
A little bit,
but these just, if you've ever heard of the Tau, this like screams.
Oh,
Tau.
okay, yeah.
It just like it has their sort of like feel to it. Maybe it's just me. Maybe other Warhammer 40K fans out there can vouch for it, or maybe I'm just weird. But overall,
I can see that. I at least know of the races and everything, and like it's like this does look, because I mean Tau always reminds me of like Gundam stuff. Yeah, so like this looks like it's sort of like Gundam type stuff too. That sort of cyberpunk neon stuff.
And then we got like they showed a new armor shader, which looks really cool. It's like that like purple and blue and like red one. Looks kind of interesting. And then a couple of other things. So overall, just like how it is in the how it has been for every season, we're getting some really good stuff in the performance pass. I don't think anybody's going to complain.
No,
there's plenty of stuff
like
to
that.
Work towards.
Yeah, that helmet on I'm not sure who that is. Maybe Driller, the green one, or maybe
like
that one looks awesome.
It looks like a Death Trooper kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll show it so you guys can see. But yeah, it looks really, really kind of cool.
Like that one looks awesome. I want to mess around with that one.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet. Overall, again, they knock it out of the park when it comes to cosmetics, so no issues there.
Yeah, one of the previous stickers that was on these was funny enough in the concept thing, and it was just a QR code that you could scan.
Oh, that's funny. That's
Want to take a guess where it took you?
the Ghost Ship homepage?
No, think more like internet meme.
Took you to the Rickroll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
That's been taken out. Sadly, they didn't include it.
Why did they not keep it? Why did they not keep it? Oh, that's
Yeah,
so
when we were
good.
looking at this, we got to see the GK2 with its skin on there and how it was being made and everything. And then there was like a QR code that was blown up. And then I think it was SNIS is like immediately like, that's a Rickroll if I've ever seen one. They're just like, how do you know?
I love how SNIS of all people was able to just immediately suss it out. That's great. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Because we were trying to do that originally. I remember Dwarf Furious like pulling up his phone and they're like, oh no, you can't like take pictures of this just yet. And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to scan the QR code. And I think then this came over and it's like, that's a Rickroll. I've ever seen one.
The fact that he knows it by heart is kind of terrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man. So next we have something that took me completely from left field. I didn't know this was happening. I didn't know what was coming with this. We are getting Hazard Level 5 Plus, a new difficulty being added into this. Basically, the way this is, it functions basically the same way that you unlock Hazard Level 5. You have to do an assignment completely on Hazard Level 5, and then you unlock Hazard Level 5 Plus. Hazard Level 5 Plus basically allows you to further increase the difficulty of the missions that you go on by making the enemies tougher, making more enemies spawn, making them more aggressive, which means they attack more frequently, I'm assuming. And
So, or it's movement speed, one of the two.
it could be both too. And then player vulnerability, which I'm guessing means you'll take more damage, or you might heal slower or something like that. Overall, it's a new difficulty added. It's not Hazard Level 6, but it's a way for you to kind of get to a higher level of difficulty. Now, on PC, this isn't that big of a deal because there are mods that you can go to Hazard Level 6, 7.
Yeah, exactly.
1 Googleplex, whatever difficulty you want to get to. But
That's 1 times 64.
I think this is really big for the console community. As somebody who originally played on the console version and then swapped to the Steam version not too long ago, not having access to mods, like it's not like bad, but like once you have access to those and those difficulties and
it's so hard to go back.
It's really hard to go back, especially since even on Hazard Level 5, things start to become not easy, but like you start to kind of expect what's problematic and what's not. And here, this kind of gives people a way to get more challenges out of their missions, as well as just test themselves in a way that is available to them. And you can adjust all of these factors, all the factors that we mentioned, in like increments. So if you just want the enemies to be a little bit harder and a little bit more active, you can do that, and it will reflect.
Want a whole bunch more enemies, you can do that too.
And it will reflect in your hazard bonus. So you will get a better payout if you do these. I think this is a great addition. What do you think?
I do too. Yeah, I think it's an amazing addition because for the longest time, I've heard people on console want something more, like they've gotten used to it, but they don't have a PC. So I think it's going to be fantastic for them. It's going to be great for people that are maybe a little bit opposed to modding in one way or another. Might find it a little bit intimidating or just don't have the time to like set it up or whatever it might be. So I think it's going to be great for them as well. It'll be super fun to do, just open lobbies with these. I mean, the new enemies, the new stronger enemies will be great. I'm wondering if health gets dramatically changed in this for more of the common enemies, like grunts and swarmers and stuff.
That might go into enemy toughness. That might be that might give them more health or make armor tougher to break or something.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much that's going to factor. And I'm also wondering on the player vulnerability, how much more friendly fire is going to do. Because on Hazard 5, we're doing 70% friendly fire already.
They might just completely bump it up and just say, hey, 100% friendly fire.
Yeah,
whatever you hit the enemy with is you hit. Then the flamethrower might not be so good. Unless you run friendly.
Yeah. Friendly will get better with this, funny enough.
That's true. Yeah, it'll become a lot more usable.
Yeah, so like that's a bonus to it. I imagine like Vampire's gonna be even more useful. Resupplier, like the perks that are already really good, will be even more useful on this one. But yeah, I'm wondering if it's like 10% increments where we just go up to 80 and 90, or if it's 15% and we're jumping all the way up to 100 once it's maxed out. They did say this isn't gonna affect fall damage.
Oh, that's good.
Nice.
Scout fans, Scout players out there will rejoice in hearing that. I'm just curious, like, because if you max out all the things, I think it's what was it, like 175% hazard bonus or something?
Probably.
Because I'm wondering if you pair this up with like certain other mutators, like could you go for, you could probably get an over 200% hazard bonus very easily.
Yeah, probably. I imagine if you just had 2 mutators on there, probably of any kind, would go up to that much. Even just one with like lethal enemies, which would be probably a nightmare.
Oh.
Or if you had some of the other ones, like I think Mactera Plague's worth a lot. I don't remember exactly.
I think
the
Lithophage is the
percentage
most,
amounts.
isn't it?
It could be.
I think Lithophage is the most, if I'm not mistaken.
It probably is, because you have like another objective to do during the mission, so that would make sense.
I just think this is great. Also, they gave us just a random ability to select a random mission, which I think that's fine.
Yeah,
That's actually that's really cool. Because sometimes I don't know what I want to do after I get done all my assignments for the week. I'm just like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, me too. And I'm gonna combine this with like randomizer. So
Yeah,
I can have
just
random
pure
mission, random
random
loadout. Like just to see how it goes. Like I think that's gonna be fun. I want to try running like the hardest difficulty with different builds too. Like I was thinking maybe a Greenbeard build, like take nothing on
I've
my
done that a
equipment
few
and see how
times.
bad that'd be.
I've done that a few times. It is it's rough, but it's also satisfying when you pull it.
Yeah, it is. So it's like that might be fun. It might be super difficult on this mission type though too. So
One thing I would like, and it's not like a major thing, but like I wonder if they would ever add something where like you just randomize the hazard level 5+ parameters to
that
like
could be interesting.
like you hit a randomize and it's like, okay, it's level 1 tough enemies, level 2 more enemies, level 2 player vault, something like that. I mean, it's not something major just because I have a hard time making decisions, so sometimes I like doing randoms.
I like to leave my decisions up to fate.
A lot of the times I do. So now we come to probably one of the most ambitious things that they have done in seasons for a while, which is the seasonal switcher. The ability to reactivate and go through previous seasons if you have not completed them or have not even started them. And the ability to essentially go through whatever season pass you want at any given time. Basically doing the same thing that Helldivers is doing with having more bonds available at all times. Or several other games have it. I can't name some of them off the top of my head, but basically you're going to be able to go through whatever season you want whenever you want. This is, I remember when they announced this before they did the On the Horizon stream, and I was like, this is crazy in a good way.
Yeah, that was one of the more surprising things when we seen that like right away there was like, oh yeah, we're bringing back old seasons. It's like, oh really? That's awesome. So you can go and get everything that you missed out on, or if you hopped into the game in like season 3, you can just try out season 1 and 2 if you're curious about them. You can get all the different gear from that, and then any gear that you did get, even if you unlocked it in this past, you're still going to get something. I'm assuming that's credits.
Yeah, I think they just said you'll get some credits if you reach something in the past that you've already unlocked through like rates or something. You'll just get credits, which is fine.
Yeah,
and I think that's totally okay.
Yeah, and that's awesome because that's going to free up crates to have even more stuff in them too. So
yeah, the loot pool is going to be less bloated, which I think is really going to be nice and help people get some of the things that they want. I think, and I believe they also said like when you set up your lobby, you're going to be like selecting the season that you are working on, and you're going to be able to see what seasons other people's lobbies are working in. So you can see like, oh, this person's in season 2, this person's in season 3. And
if you're playing in like season 4 and then you join somebody in season 1, you'll still get progression towards your season 4.
Yes. The only difference is that the events will be will have like different rates depending on what you are in. So if you're in a season 1 or 2, you'll have a higher chance of finding like prospectors or nemesis or the data posts or whatever, and you'll have a less likely you'll have a less likely chance of getting meteors or herald. They might still show up. I assume they still have a chance of showing up. I just assume it's probably a lot less.
Yeah, I would guess that they would still show up since they'd probably still be in the pool of enemies or event things that could show up.
So basically you're going to be seeing a lot of season 1 and 2 is probably, and not a lot of season 3 and 4.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's right. Except for the people who missed out on it. Everyone's going to go through seasons 1 and 2 and then begrudgingly get through 3 and 4.
3s and 4s, or 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s.
It's going to be very interesting. Overall, I think this is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Grand thing that they've done, because I wasn't expecting anything like this to happen, and then all of a sudden they said, yeah, we're bringing back old seasons. I believe they also confirmed that it's not a major thing, but the space rig is actually going to reflect what season you're in. So if you're in seasons 1 or 2, you're not going to have the rock box everywhere. That's like covering up the space rig, which is kind of cool. And yeah, it's just very ambitious in a good way, and I'm very happy that they're going through with this. I think this is gonna help a lot of people, and I think that this is going to rectify something that we talked about at the beginning, which is the big gap between seasons, because anybody who's starting the game now is going to essentially have 5 seasons worth of content to work towards.
Yeah, that's all going to be in loot crates normally, and if you want one particular thing, it's going to take you a very long time to get it, probably. So this is really nice.
And I know people are going to, there's going to be like 1 or 2 people out there that are going to be like, well, it's only going to take me like a month to get through everything and get through all these seasons. And I say to you, sir, you have way too much time on your you go through 5 seasons in a month, but
running nonstop through them, I guess.
Absolutely nonstop, which I mean, props to you, man. I appreciate that. But overall, this is fantastic in terms of just accessibility, in terms of quality of life. It's just going to do a lot of good things for the game in total.
I think it's a great improvement. And little thing, I don't know if it'd be okay in the recording, but well, when Mike brought this up, I asked him, was he thinking about the other things like the prospector and everything being shown up more, or if you would still have the same issues? And he went, I don't know. Hang on, let me write that down real quick. So he like pulled out his phone and wrote it up real quick.
So you're saying So you're saying you by proxy helped with the implementation of the season switching.
I'm pretty sure that would have came up later down the road.
Somebody would have had to say something about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just, that was the first thought in my mind, was like, well, does that mean like the events are going to be popping up, or is it still just like random events, and like, will the prospector show up, or will Nemesis show up?
And then he kind of crossed that. That's funny. That's so funny.
I don't think that's a huge spoiler or anything, but it is something that did get brought up when we were there.
Yep. And then they gave us a lot of like extra smaller things, which some I was expecting, some I wasn't, like the promotion tracker.
Yeah,
something like
awesome.
that. That's actually really, it's not like a super necessary thing, but it's still
no,
cool.
but it's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool for the veterans to showcase themselves as to like how far, because I don't have, I'm still in, I guess, the grand scheme of things, not as experienced as some of the super veterans. I don't think I've ever gotten anybody to legendary, but then again, I did switch systems, I did switch platforms, so
yeah,
I still have
you're probably legendary. Like,
if anything,
if you combine the two,
my NG would probably be the only one that's at legendary. But
okay.
But overall, plus once you get to a certain point, it's like it just shows playtime and nothing else anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
But I still think it's really cool. It's going to show people how much somebody has been playing. I shudder to think at what Drilling in the Name of's driller is going to be at. I'm assuming he's probably going to be in the quad. I'm assuming he's going to be in the quad digits, but I could be wrong.
I don't know. He does like driller a lot. So
you don't say. But this is just a cool flex thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome. They said like there's a mod that already does this, and it's like it should just be implemented into the game. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's something nice to see. I mean, I'm just gonna go in blind to see how much I've got in there, because I play almost all the classes about the same. So I'm wondering if one's gonna be higher, or if they're all gonna be like about the same when I actually get there.
And then we got new mutators, which I wasn't not expecting that at all. We got new warnings.
I wasn't either,
which is kind of cool. You want to run us through the mutations that we're getting?
So we've got 2 new that are bonus ones. These are the
anomalies.
Yes, the anomalies. I couldn't remember their name. The anomalies, and then we have 2 new mutators. The anomalies, we've got blood sugar, which this one's pretty awesome. It makes it so you have a toxic atmosphere where you will be taking damage over time, but any enemy you kill will drop health. I'm assuming this is going to be red sugar that they drop and then you can pick up. I would assume that rather than just kill at any distance, you get the health from it. So vampire is going to be really useful in this one, I imagine. Going to be really nice to have. And I can also see this being a little bit of an issue, similar to like low oxygen, if you're not paying attention to your health. And you have to,
or if you just get like a drought where you're just not getting enemies. Like if you're on like a mission type where I don't know, I'm trying to think like an escort duty mission where like when the drill dozer's moving, like you have a lot of enemies, but then when you get to the point where you have to refuel, the enemies kind of don't really come at you a whole lot. You're just like, okay, well, I'm just sitting here slowly dying. So like, that's the only thing that I'm worried about. I'm wondering if it's going to be a case of like they might not let you like you might get to like 1 health, but then you don't go down.
That doesn't kill you.
I'm wondering if that might be the case, or if there's something else under the hood where it's like, okay, more enemies will spawn if that's the case, or you'll constantly have at least, something coming around.
Yeah, and I think like health perks are going to be even better on those ones. So you're going to get like resupplier value. Sweet Tooth, you'll probably have like constant bonus move speed from. That would be fun. And like Vampire's really good. Our second one is called the Secret Secondary. This is quite literally, we get another secondary. That one's going to be kind of cool to see if you like doing the secondaries. It could be any of the secondaries that we already have. So collect gunk seeds, collect mushrooms, kill fester fleas, whatever it might be. I think that one's just going to get you extra money. And then we've got the 2 mutators, which are duck and cover. This makes it so you have a lot more ranged enemies, which that can be an issue on certain mission times.
Definitely. This is what I'm saying. Gunner value is about to go up because his shield is just going to become insane. Because I'm guessing like Fry Jaws, Spitters, Septic Spreaders, maybe
Menaces.
Spitballers?
Like maybe they didn't say spitballers.
I mean,
but that is another.
It's a ranged enemy, so
we might get more of the new enemies too.
The menaces, I didn't even think about the menaces, but like, oof, the web spitters, or like, there's just a lot that could come at you.
And I'm wondering how substantial this is going to be compared to the already sometimes big waves that you get of like acid spitters or web spitters. If it's going to be substantially more in that regard, or if we're going to be just getting like more in terms of percentage of like grunts and stuff. So I'm interested in that one. And then our last one is the Evo Knight outbreak, where we're getting Evo Knights that we have to fight
just randomly.
So Driller just got so Driller just got better. Driller got more value.
This is crazy because like this is the one that probably surprised me the most, just because like we haven't seen the Ebonite grunts out, or the Ebonite bugs outside of the actual Ebonite event, and normally they're contained to that because you have the pickaxe overcharge, or that overcharges your pickaxe. The Ebonite bugs are just going to be out. They're just going to be out and about. They're going to be parts of the swarms, and you just got to deal with them, which I think is going to be really interesting. I'm wondering if it's going to be something like Exploder Infestation, where they just show up constantly, like in groups of like 4 or 5 at a time.
I'm not sure, because they might spawn by themselves, or they might spawn in groups of already existing enemies. And I think that could be the main thing I'm worried about with this particular mutator is that it might be bad for new players, because they might not understand how to kill these right away.
Right, because
it might not be apparent.
No, I definitely agree, because it's not, you don't go across this event too often, and when you do, it's very contained, because all the Ebonite grunts are in one location, and you're near the dispenser, so you can kind of understand it. And mission control tells you like, put your guns down, you need to get your pickaxes for this one. He kind of tells you like how it works. You kind of figure that out. But in this case, somebody sees this, a new player shows up, and he's just like, oh, okay, what is this thing? Why is it not taking any damage whatsoever? So
like that's the only thing I'm a little bit worried about. Unless you again have mission control, just be like, that's not going to do any damage or something, get your pickaxe, or whatever it is. Like, if you just keep shooting it, maybe he'll give you a message, or there'll be a pop-up or something.
Right,
that's the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about. It won't affect us, because like we know how to kill them, but for somebody brand new just hopping into the game and they see a mutator like this, it's like, oh, okay, I'll just go in here, and like, oh wait, what the heck, why is the rock bug not dying? It's just not dying.
Like, he doesn't get it. And then they kind of get a little bit of like that, because that's kind of what happened with Rockpox. Is a lot of people, when they first started, kind of got overwhelmed with Rockpox, and they're like, oh, this isn't fun to go up against. So I'm kind of hoping we don't have that. I like the idea.
I do too,
and I hope they kind of expand on this a little bit. Maybe like, I don't know how, I mean, Curse Sight, it would just be like normal bugs, because you don't really need the or anything. But I feel like they could do something along those lines.
Like you said, we don't have Ebonites all that much, I guess, besides that one point in time where you could make a Steve Ebonite, but something like that.
No, you could do that. You could do that?
There was a bug at one point that lets you do that.
That's actually awesome.
Just an invincible Steve.
That's incredible.
I think it got patched out within like a week of that.
Oh man, why did they do that? That's awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully they break Reatomizer again, and maybe we can do it again.
Oh my goodness. That's phenomenal. I did not know you could do that.
Yeah, because that's also been broken at least twice when you can have elite Steves. Yeah. So like,
I know you can get basically unkillable Steves if there's regenerating bugs, but that's a topic. That's a whole nother thing. A couple other smaller things. We got cosmetic filtering now, which I'm so grateful for, because it's going to let us figure out exactly what type of drip we want to put together. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to be able
I was surprised how many options they gave us too.
Yeah, it's like separated by season, by like if it's event or if it's standard issue, mustaches, beards, hats, head. Like there's a whole lot of different categories, which means they took a lot of time to look at it, which I'm very much grateful for. And then we also got some new cave generations, which I'm looking forward to. I always like to see some new terrains, some new setups, a couple like, you kind of get bored. Not that you get bored of the caves, but like you see the same sort of generations and you're like, okay, this room sucks. Why do I have to get the dreadnought in one of these like tower rooms? Like, why is this the case? So I think this will be interesting. I kind of hope we see some more like large open rooms because I feel like we don't get too many of those. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you got to see most of the
I got to see some of it. Yeah.
Got to see some
when they were putting it together. Yeah. So I didn't get to see like how they look if you were in them. Because it's just a lot of like outlines of like
the screenshots that show like here's the wireframes and you're like, I know what I'm looking at.
It's like that. So it's like it will feel different once you're actually in there rather than just like looking out on it. But I mean, I'm always a big fan of the extra cave gens because that's just more maps essentially that we get to play around with. You get to figure out where to go and where to get lost and everything. So
I think there's over 20, I think they said.
Something like that,
which is just really, really interesting. And then, of course, we're getting new dances, which I have absolutely no idea what they're going to probably do.
I have seen them, yes.
Just answer me this question right now. Is the gritty one of them?
I don't think so. No.
You don't think so. Okay. That's all I can hope for. I do not want Deep Rock to be tainted by the gritty. And then
if I'm mistaken by that, then tell me, because I only watched them there that one day.
We'll figure it out.
I remember one, but
that's funny. Well, either way, it's still gonna be funny to see on the dance floor and all that kind of stuff. And then the last major thing that they really had, which again is something that was completely out of left field that I did not see coming, was we got a rework or update to the escort duty mission, which I did not see coming. I did not expect it, and I didn't really think it was necessary, but I will take it because from what they have shown, it looks pretty cool. Basically, the way that they're doing it is the final stage of the Armor and Hearthstone fight. The phases of the fight are going to actually vary similar to they do with the Caretaker. So normally it goes wave and then rocks and then wave and then pillars. They're adding a third attack into the rotation, which is basically this large crystal claw comes up out of the ground and basically snatches up the players and immobilizes them. And that will go into the rotation of attacks. So it can be like swarm, then maybe claw, then swarm, then towers, or it could go swarm and then towers and then swarm and then rocks, or it could be, it could be any, which I think is, it's not a huge change, but I think it's going to be enough to sort of give escort duties a nice little resurgence in popularity. Escort duty missions are one of my more favorite type of missions to do just because I like them a lot. So
I think that they're pretty cool. I like them quite a bit. And just having these new claw attacks is going to get you a lot more variety to it. I think it's just another buff to Driller in a way though too. Where it's just like, okay, if I get grabbed as Driller, I don't care.
Starting to realize why they named this season Drilling Deeper. I'm starting to realize it now.
So it's like there is that, but for every other class, it will kind of slow you down. I guess you could also say that this is a buff to potentially Berserker.
Yeah, that's true.
Like using that one, and especially with the new Ebonites too.
Yeah, you could say the same thing. Yeah, absolutely.
That way you can get your way out of that if you don't want to be, slowed down. I don't know how quickly you can break through these, but it should be interesting. And this is kind of cool because it's more like the Caretaker fight. So we got like another rotating boss battle.
Yeah,
so
I think
I'm on board for it.
Yeah, I'm very much on board for it. I imagine it's going to be like probably the same number of hits to take out those like laser crystals. Might be like 2 hits per section if I had to take a guess. Because I imagine it's the same material that the Armor and Hearthstone is using.
That would probably be a safe bet. I'm just wondering if you're going to need to hit it more if you get stuck in a weird spot. Like you can't climb out.
Yeah, you might be. Yeah, that's the thing. Is it going to be like Rockbox where you can bust yourself out, or do you just have to use your pickaxe? Which I guess you could use your pickaxe if you yourself are stuck in it.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's going to be that way since it'd be more difficult in solo because then you just have to have Bosco get you out.
Yeah, that would kind of Bosco would go up in value. Everything would be going up in value.
Like Bosco mining into your what I think would be like top pick.
That's true.
Just for this.
So then I think that's everything that they have announced as of right now with season 5 coming out. I know that they said there's going to be a little bit more showing, and we'll probably get the full spiel once the narrated trailer comes out and everything else. But That's a lot of stuff that we've got. Hence why I said I think this is probably going to be the most content that we have seen out of any particular season so far. And in my personal opinion, I think this is shaping up to be probably the most successful of the seasons that we have had so far, especially considering where we came from with season 4, which was a bit of a rocky history of season 4 that some people love it, some people hate it, or a lot of people are.
Yeah, I would probably say I'm more in between for season 4. I like some of it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Drag out a little bit, but that's understandable once I gotta like talk to Ghost Ship.
Oh yeah, once you get an insight, yeah, it makes sense. I do think though that, because I know that they said that it's a lot more unlikely with obviously the focus shifting to Rogue Core that we're not going to get as many maintenance, if any maintenance updates in the coming months once season 5 comes out, which I think is kind of understandable because also those maintenance updates were primarily meant to fix issues. And if they don't know what issues are there, they can't really fix them. If there's a glaring issue, I'm sure that they will fix it in a timely manner. It's just a case that they're not going to promise any sort of maintenance updates if they don't know that there's any sort of issue. And then they just throw things in like the hide and go seek fear or whatever the case may be, just to kind of make it more interesting. So,
which I mean, that's a pretty big update for
that's a pretty big thing too. Yeah, that's absolutely for a light update. It's like they're like mini season updates almost.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want another game mode?
Another fun thing to do in this.
Oh, okay, cool.
They just need to give us a full table in the space rig and I'll be happy. But yeah, I think that's essentially everything that they have for season 5 at the moment. Obviously, we'll know more about this, and we'll do our best to keep you guys updated as as more stuff comes out. Stay tuned for more things involving season 5. I'm still stuck at season
armor is not Helldiver armor.
Oh man. They still
I made that as a prediction, and then like they were like, no, it's not that. We weren't talking to them before we made it.
They still haven't said what they're doing for the crossover yet, though. But we will. They got to be doing something soon, right?
Well, Arrowhead works underneath them now with the debacle of Sony.
They fixed it though.
They did.
They came back and fixed it, but that's a topic of discussion for a whole nother day, which maybe we'll go into that at some point. But
sure, that'd be fun.
So I think that's pretty much everything we're going to be talking about today. And thank you for being here. And
I appreciate it.
So I hope you guys liked that video. It was an absolute blast to be able to do this with Ron. And if you guys would like to see more stuff like this in the future, let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to check him out if you have not already. Also, if you found this video enjoyable, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as it tells me what types of videos you guys want to see. Rocket Stone Miners, I'll see you in the next video.